Hey guys, this is Ruben Langdon, aka Dante from Devil May Cry, aka Ken Masters from Street Fighter, and also Chris Redfield from the Resident Evil series. And you are listening to the Kasanova Podcast, the #1 podcast in Hawaii. Jackpot.
All right, and welcome everyone to another episode of Hawaii's #1 podcast, the Kasanova Podcast. I'm your host, Mekel Kasanova, and I'm coming at you with another phenomenal interview. And in today's episode, I have the true honor and privilege of interviewing the one, the only, AshniChrist. Now, AshniChrist is a stream coach, as well as an author, and a partnered Twitch streamer. She's also a podcast host, and she's helped hundreds of thousands of people with their content creation, as well as with their streams, and so much more. And it's just truly an honor to have her on the show. Big fan of her work. A lot of her work has inspired me and helped me improve my work as a podcaster, as a YouTuber, and so much more. And it is a true honor and privilege to have her on the show. So if you are ready to do it, I'm ready to do it. Let's go ahead and welcome Ashni onto the show. All right, and welcome everyone to another episode of Hawaii's #1 podcast, the Kasanova Podcast. I'm your host, Mekel Kasanova, and today I have with me the one, the only, the amazing, the lovely AshniChrist. Go ahead and introduce yourself.
Oh my God, I hope I live up to all of those things. Sick. I'm so excited to be here with you, Mekel. My name is Ashni. That's my real name. Shh, don't tell anybody. I am a full-time content creator and entrepreneur. I have a podcast called the Stream Coach Podcast. I have a YouTube channel, and I stream live on Twitch, and I teach people everything that they need to know to pursue their dreams and learn to stream. I've been a stream coach for a year and a half now. I am currently hiring coaches and kind of teaching out everything that I've learned. I'm also an author and a little bit of a public speaker. So I've really got my hands in a lot of different places. That sounds real weird. Sorry. Well, there it is. We went there. Oh my God, I'm embarrassed. But yeah, I'm doing a lot of different things. Essentially, I just want to prevent the feeling that I think a lot of creators feel, which is that you're just screaming into the void. I was on Twitch for so long, streaming to 20 people for 4 years. And it wasn't until I quit and I started creating content over on YouTube that I really found my voice and figured out how to get people to pay attention. And it's by taking a path that a lot of people don't really talk about or know about. So that's been my passion, just kind of teaching out that secondary path, that option for everyone else who might be struggling with the more traditional style of growth.
Awesome. And where can people find you, like on social media? Are there any upcoming like projects you have, or plug everything? Tell people where they can find you.
Yeah, I'm AshniChrist everywhere. It's AshniChrist. That's Twitter, Instagram, Twitch, YouTube, all of the things, all of the places. I have an ebook called Build Your Dream Stream, which you can find at streamcoachbook.com. And I'm currently working on launching streamcoach.tv, which is my website for all of my courses, ebooks, and also to hire stream coaches.
Awesome. And I'll leave links to all that down in the description of the video version of the podcast, as well as the audio version. And you just gave an amazing background on yourself. That was actually going to be my next question, but I'm like, hey man, we just blazed that trail right there. So I want to ask you this. What got you into being, a content creator, an entrepreneur, a podcaster, an author? There's so many amazing things that you've done over the years, and I just want to know, what got you into it?
Yeah. I mean, it definitely was 6 years of growth, right? I didn't start out with the intention of being a person who at one point would have an ebook and online courses and would be an entrepreneur in this way. I very much started off with the intention of just playing video games and having fun and meeting new people. I first found Twitch because an ex-boyfriend told me about it in like 2011, I think. But when I first found it, I was like, this is weird. Why are other people watching people play video games? Like, I've been such a weirdo, and I've been made fun of my entire life for this. So it's so bizarre that like there's a website where everyone does this, right? So yeah, I found it and then thought it was weird. And then 6 months later, I eventually started streaming. But it wasn't easy for me. It definitely wasn't a natural experience, even though I was in like speech and debate and improv and acting and all these classes that were very outgoing classes, right? And you would assume that like this outgoing personality would have an easy time on Twitch, and I just didn't. It was so difficult for me, and I assumed that the platform was something that it totally isn't. And because of that, I struggled for a long time. I mean, I wasn't able to grow my community for 4 years. I was stuck at the same viewership numbers. And I feel like that's the place that a lot of people are in, and especially whether they're just starting or they've been in it for such a long time. It's so difficult whenever we're in this era of the number one currency right now is attention, right? That's what everyone is fighting for. We're all fighting for eyeballs or ears in the case of this podcast. I mean, I guess there's also the eyeballs because we've got the video side of this, but it's very, very difficult. So I started off just wanting to play video games, but eventually I started listening to podcasts. I had a sponsor about 3 years or 2 years into streaming that essentially came to me and was like, hey, I really like what you're doing. I like your personality. He had also like just lost his wife and was in this really just difficult period in his life. And I fulfilled a lot of the loneliness. I helped him like kind of take that and not think about it through the streams. Right. And he essentially came to me and was like, hey, I've developed all these big apps. I worked on the Facebook app. I worked on the Uber app. Like I'm good. What can I help you? Like, how much money would it take for you to be full time? And it was so bizarre because I'd never been presented with that before. And essentially he helped me pay off some debt, and he helped me get in a position to be able to move to Austin, Texas from Oklahoma. And I thought that I was going to live this lifestyle that everyone dreams of, which is like the full-time streamer. And I can make my day entirely what I want it to be. I can finally play video games and entertain people for a living. And for some reason, the numbers just never really grew, even though I was getting all this attention for the generosity that existed in my community. And eventually I called him on Skype because I felt all of these like just strange feelings of, I don't know what I'm missing. I can tell that I'm missing something. I know something's wrong. I know I just feel like I should be doing better than this. Why are other people starting after me and they're going so much further? So I called him and expressed all of these feelings with him. And he said, there will be a lot of people who make it on Twitch, but it's never going to be you. And he kind of ripped all of that support out from underneath me. Yeah, he ripped this rug that he'd laid underneath me out. And it wasn't until that moment and like falling into a depression and having to go through this intense loneliness and life change and thinking, well, crap, I guess I have to get a job now, that I really discovered all of the things that I felt like I had missing before. And the reason that I found those was because of the podcast that I listened to. So I started with Smart Passive Income by Pat Flynn, who's a really amazing, very kind, very honest and humble entrepreneur, online entrepreneur. And of course, listen to stuff by like Gary Vee, Tim Ferriss, Tim Schmoyer helped me a lot. Like a lot of these people that had been building businesses and had learned how to create an outcome for people and solve a problem that people had been experiencing for the longest time. So I learned about all of this stuff for, I think, 4 years straight. I didn't watch Netflix. I didn't play video games. I didn't like listen to music. I just listened to all of these podcasts and consumed these books. And then I started sharing that information, came back to YouTube and back to Twitch. And that's whenever everything exploded for me. And I think that was ultimately the biggest turning point in my entire life, Having someone who supports you a ton, rip that support out from underneath you is very much a make or break moment. I could have let it beat me down, and I could have let it prevent me from achieving the things that I wanted to achieve in life. But I'm a big believer that any negative experience that we all go through is an opportunity to turn around, learn from it, and create success.
Wow. Like, you went through some shit. Damn.
Yeah. This was
mean,
not an easy journey for me, for sure.
Wow. Like, I mean, but you're so right. Like, it's situations like that. Literally, they are make or break. And, you know, when you look on it, like, you're incredibly successful right now. And you look back on stuff like that, you know, and sometimes you can think like, man, if that hadn't happened, would I be where I am now? Would I be further? Would I be further behind? It's just like blessings in disguise in a way.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And we see this all the time with streamers too, where like we get into, or content creators in general, where we either have someone attack us or kind of put us on blast for something. And we see this with like cancel culture and call out culture right now. Or even if it's not super public like that, we just struggle throughout trying to grow ourselves and grow our communities. And we beat ourselves down so hard for all of the things, or like we give our power away to, well, Twitch just doesn't care about small streamers, or maybe it's just the time that I'm streaming, or maybe it's the game that I'm streaming, instead of taking our own power into our own hands. I don't think that you can grow as a creator until you realize that you are literally in charge of your own destiny. You are in charge of your own success. And a lot of it is just getting over all of these self-limiting beliefs that you've had in your mind, as far as, I can't do this, or who am I to do this? Who am I to create this awesome idea that I've had for so long? Every single person who is successful was at one point unsuccessful, at one point had 0 followers, $0 in the bank, and they had to do it. They had to get over that initial imposter syndrome of, I don't belong here, and just keep creating before they could get to the point that they're at now.
No, and I had a situation similar to that happen to me last year, because I was on YouTube for I've been on a total for about 3 years, but last year, and I was really small. It's less than 1,000 subs, and one channel I really looked up to is a gaming channel, and I thought I was friends with the guy. And, one of his fans reached out to me on Twitter and asked me like, oh, do you think Smash Brothers is a fighting game? And I'm like, well, I don't know. Nintendo didn't start out to be that. And I said, no. And so the guy who I thought I was cool with, he is a big YouTuber. He's really huge. And he just started calling me out on Twitter. And it's a whole cancel culture. Like, he was calling me out saying, oh, I demand you come on my show and debate me. And I'm like, dude, I'm at work. I can't just drop everything and go. And it just kept going and going and going. And I was starting to get more and more harassed by people on Twitter, and then went to Facebook, and then went to Instagram. And then it got so to the point where, people were reaching out to my wife and sending her like death threats, sexual threats, and like all this over a video game. And then when I responded, I called the guy out like, dude, control your audience, stop it.
Yeah.
Then he and a bunch of other bigger YouTubers like he was friends with just all came down on me and basically made it to a point where no gaming YouTuber would ever work with me. And I feel like that was done. It was petty, but I feel like it was done to just make me get out of the YouTube game. And so like I took a month or two off, and I just came back like, okay, well, if I can't do YouTube gaming, I can't do reviews, I can't do stuff that I enjoy because these guys are going to be a blockade, what else can I do? I was like, oh crap, I have a podcast. Where can I transition? And so I transitioned over to like, oh, okay, well, if YouTubers won't deal with me, I'll reach out to voice actors. And then people were telling me, oh, you're crazy to do that. I'm like, why? They're like, oh, it would never work. Why? Tell me, like, give me a reason why. I'm like, I don't have anything else. So like my first voice actor I interviewed was Richard Epcar, and he's a legend in the voice acting industry.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, that's my first voice actor. Okay, how far can we go with that? And I just kept going and going and going. And I just got bigger and bigger and bigger names. And now it's at a point where
I want to say this year I went from 500 subs or 600 subs in January to 10,000 in a month and a half later. Like it just like shot up. Like when I say, oh, I got this guest on, I got people from the FGC, the fighting game industry. I got people from, the CEOs of many game companies. I was just reaching out and people were like, how are you doing that? I'm like, because I, in my head, even though people tell me I can't do this, I've got this complex where I got to prove you wrong,
Yes.
prove myself that I can do it.
Oh my
and I'm
God,
not going to
yeah.
sit and be a victim of someone else trying to stop me, from being able to progress forward. And just personally, to put it out there, I wanted to be a big F you to that YouTuber that came at me and my wife. Cause I just thought, which is funny because he's reached out to me recently about coming on my show. And I'm like, really?
What? No, you're serious?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, it was that bad. It was, I think it was July last year when all that went down.
Yeah, July.
Yeah.
That's why. I bet that was a good moment for you though, because you were like, yeah, I bet you went on this show. What's up? Yeah, that's crazy. See, that's such an interesting journey, I think, because I was never that person until that happened with that community supporter, right? I was never that person that was like, well, let me prove you wrong. Let me show you otherwise. And now anytime that people are like, you can't do this, I get so stubborn.
Right.
I'm like, yes, I can. Watch me, bitch. Watch me. But I think it takes that, like, success in general, and I guess that's going to be a theme for me today, is just talking about the difference between successful people and people who never are able to achieve the things that they want to achieve. It's that stubborn belief in yourself, really. Mm-hmm. That stubborn sense of like, I don't care what you think. I don't care what all these haters are saying. I'm going to achieve something and I'm going to grow whatever it is that I'm passionate about because I really believe in it. I think without that like stubborn sense of I'm going to do this no matter what you say, it's hard to become successful because we all get haters at a certain point. Everyone goes through, and the more that I talk to other people, the more I realize like we've all got a story like that. We all have a story where people just tried to tear us down and we had to either let it tear us down or decide that, hey, I'm going to keep going.
Yeah, definitely. And thank you for sharing your story like that. It touched me. I don't often share that story, what I went through and what she went through, because it affected her too. And she's also a YouTuber and a streamer. And it's like, you realize how petty a lot of people in that realm can be.
Yes.
It's like, man.
Dude, it's honestly wild that you bring this up, considering I'm like 4 days out from a huge just Twitter shitstorm, essentially, of people trying to bring down my partner for the way that he was kind of conducting this new business venture that he was trying to get into. Mm-hmm. And both of us had people DMing us, and people were DMing me telling me that like he's sick, he's unwell, I shouldn't be with him, I'm just being manipulated. And I was like, whoa, you don't even know me, first off. How are you gonna be the judge of that? You don't know our relationship. And he had people DMing him like, oh dude, you're so messed up, blah blah blah. And what happened was we had this like he had this friend that came into his stream that just took a lot of stuff out of context, made this big thread about it. The thread got like 1,500 retweets or something of people that literally just read a tweet, didn't make their own decisions. And yeah, it was very toxic, but that's not the first time that's happened to me. It's not the first time it's happened to him. I know you had Gothic's model on recently too, right? Yeah. She had a lot of stuff going on a few days ago. Like, it's wild that everyone hits this at some point. And it's also crazy to me that there are people out there who are trying to build their relevancy in these spaces by tearing other people down. Yeah. And I've noticed more and more, like a lot of it, at least that I've had experience with, I think this is different in your experience, but a lot of the people that are seeming to do that in the Twitch space are people that haven't necessarily become successful on their own yet. And so these people have a ton of time on their hands to really just like spend time yelling at Twitter and like causing this entire just absolute ruckus. And they aren't focusing on like building their own brand or building their self-esteem so that they don't need to do those things anymore. They don't feel the need to tear other people down because they're so busy building their own dang thing.
You know, and that's the thing is like I don't know what this infatuation with like not only the outrage but the cancel culture. Like people are so quick to just jump down your throat and then try to like they will. Like in my situation, what terrified me and it pissed me off at the same time was you got people who don't even know you that will go to any extent just to, you know, to just hurt you or end you or, well, you know, I mean, I guess it could go that far or hurt those that you love or, you know, attack and harass them. And it's like, it makes you wonder, like, where are you mentally and emotionally that you can justify such an action to someone else? And it's and that was one of the things I was talking to Gothic's Mala about too, and I know what she was telling me, like some of the stuff she went through, and I was like, you know, it's just mind-boggling that people are okay with doing something like that.
Yeah, it's wild. Like I hate that. I love social media. I hate that I love it. And I also hate it, right? I really, really abhor it. And I think the problem with it is that whenever you are, especially with Twitter, because I feel like Instagram is a little bit different because there's more video content over there than there is at Twitter. It's a little bit more integrated into their platform. But I think with Twitter especially, it is so toxic because it's hard to judge someone's character through writing, right? You don't get tone of voice. You don't get body language. You don't get all of the things that, I mean, we say what 80% of communication is nonverbal, right? 80%, and you don't get that on Twitter. So it's really easy to miscommunicate yourself. It's really easy to misunderstand someone. And a lot of falling outs happen because people just end up not understanding what someone was trying to communicate. Gothix and I actually had a falling out because I tweeted something that just happened to be like really close to a time period that she tweeted something that was relatively similar about the same topic. And she thought that I was subtweeting her and being an ass to her. And then come to find out, like later on, you know, she unfollows me and she gets really upset. And I was like, hey, I'm sorry. That's not what I meant at all. And then now, literally 2 days ago, she was like, "Hey, now I'm good. Like we good." I was like, "Cool, girl. Yeah, me. Oh my god, it's sick." But it just goes to show. I mean, Gothix is a genuine person, I feel, and I think that she is not someone who's just going to jump to conclusions, especially after all the shit that she's gone through. So I feel like even someone who is an understanding person, who is pretty dead set in their self-esteem and their self-confidence, can misunderstand things sometimes. Or maybe, you know, the fault is on me for miscommunicating. Maybe it's a little bit of both. Who knows? There's no reason to really assign blame. But it's so bizarre that we put so much credence into text on a screen versus having a conversation with someone.
Yeah. And I'm starting to feel like you and I come from the same generation, because it's like, you know, you think back before social media was as powerful as it is, and, you know, smartphones and all that, where people actually literally had to go outside and interact with each other. And now it's like the most interaction, I don't even know where my phone is. The most interaction I'm going to do with someone is through a phone. And it's mind boggling. Like, you can't interpret any type of inflections or tone or cadence or anything from text, but then people will read something, completely get it out of context, and then that can start a shitstorming. You're like,
right. You know what's wild is, like, we're on this when we go on Twitter, Instagram. I mean, the smartest people in the world work on these applications for a reason, because they want to make them addicting. Why do you think every social platform you scroll? Right? It's because human beings want stuff that is easy. We want it fast, and we want it to hit our dopamine receptors, and for us to get that little hit of like feel good feelings, right? And with that comes this level of laziness because we want it to be easy. That equates to we're a little bit lazy whenever we get on Twitter, Instagram, social media. And whenever we find something that speaks to our values and it seems like this outrage culture is speaking to the thing that, for example, the situation that my partner just went through with mental health. A lot of people care about someone with depression or anxiety, or they've experienced it themselves, or if it's PTSD or like schizophrenia or whatever it is. A lot of people care about that subject. And it just so happened that people would scroll through, see that, it would speak to their values. And instead of them doing the research for themselves to figure out like who it was, what actually happened, give people the benefit of the doubt or have the conversation, they're in that lazy mode of just scrolling and getting upset whenever something speaks out against something that they care about. And so they'll just comment real fast because we're lazy. We comment, we yell, we do a little bit of research to figure out who it is, and then the reputation of that person can be tarnished forever.
Yeah.
And that's what's really scary, I think, is that I don't think careers necessarily end unless it's in very, very extreme cases. I mean, look at like the Paul brothers, right? Like they still exist. They're still crushing it. They're doing so much questionable stuff. So the people that say like, oh, RIP your career, like that's not really true. But it definitely takes time to come back from it. And it also wrecks your self-esteem, which arguably is more important than your career anyways. Like you feeling like a terrible person and you feeling so angry at yourself and feeling like everyone hates you is not fun. I don't care who you are.
Yeah. It can be a mental fuck too.
Yeah, right. You're just like, what the fuck did I do wrong? Oh god.
Go in a fetal position, like it's gonna be okay. Oh no, what's that gif or gif where you got the dog sitting there and he's drinking and it's got fire around him?
Oh
Everything's fine.
It's fine. Yeah. So accurate. Oh my god. I feel like that one portrays my life. Probably
Right?
everyone that's listening, we probably all feel like, yep, that's me.
Right?
Yeah.
So I have to ask you, like, how did you come up with your name, AshniChrist? Like, where
Yeah.
did that come from?
This is not creative at all. It's my first, middle, and last name squished together.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. Some friends in high school, because my last name is Christensen, used to call me like Christ, as in Jesus, which I guess was, I'm not really that much of a religious person, but I guess was a little questionable. I think if I tried to go with that, people would, the religious community might be like a little bit upset at me, and it's not on me to like, yeah, I don't want to like offend anybody, right? So that's definitely not what I was going for. And now that I look back, it's like, man, that was a questionable nickname. Why did y'all call me that? What the heck? And these friends were Catholic, so hello, what? But yeah, it's just the last name. Definitely has no correlation to religion or Jesus or anything like that. So not creative at all. Not the most interesting story.
Hey, at least you don't have the name Mekel Kasanova and people are like, what's the story behind that? There isn't.
They're like, that's just my name, dog.
Oh my goodness.
That's an awesome name though.
It was completely made on the fly. I was like, okay, so because I work in the medical industry, I'm like, I don't want people, because hospitals or wherever you work for, companies, especially corporate, they look at everything. So I was like, okay, I wanted to keep Mekel because that's a unique name. It's my Mekel for me is small from Michael, and I was like, okay, so I need a last name, and then she came up with the Kasanova part. And I was like, you know what? Fine. Mekel Kasanova.
Yeah. It's so cool. It almost sounds like a movie star, to be honest.
I mean, we got another local celebrity out here called Romeo Valentine. So I'm like, I can get away.
Yeah, there we go. That's it.
Like I can get away with Mekel Kasanova. All right.
Right. That's hilarious. Oh my god, I love it.
Oh, so going back to social media, like I think I'm the same as you. Like I love it and I hate it at the same time. I absolutely abhor it at times, but I want to know, like, what is the most effective way to like utilize social media in order to promote yourself and to grow your audience? And how imperative is it to use social media? Because I know a lot of content creators that think, I don't need Twitter, I don't need Instagram, I don't need this. And it's like, they're the same ones complaining about lack of growth.
Right. Yeah, I think that happens a lot. So in the beginning of your journey, it's really, really hard to balance all of these different platforms at once. So I think whenever it comes to growing on social media, it's first learn that you're not going to learn every platform all at once. You don't need to learn Twitter and Instagram and Twitch and YouTube and podcasting all at the same time, because what you're going to do is you've only got a finite amount of like learning energy to spend every single day. If you try to divide that through 5 different platforms, it's going to take you 5 years to get really good at all of them, as opposed to you focusing on one at a time and getting good at that one and then using the momentum from that one to build up the next. I personally find that a lot of people also prioritize them in the incorrect order. So I think that it's really easy for us to see YouTubers or to see Twitch streamers or really successful podcasters and say, oh, I want to be that. But it's also a lot easier to become that if you've already got some level of traction already. And places with algorithms, so YouTube has their algorithm, it's still a little bit more difficult to grow there as opposed to growing on like Twitter or Instagram first. I really think that like if I could go back and do it again, I would teach myself to get really good at Twitter and Insta before I started on Twitch, before I started on YouTube, before I started the podcast. So I think in terms of that, that's a really important thing to understand, is that it's so much easier to grow on these platforms. And then whenever it comes down to using them and the strategy with Instagram, I think that works really well in conjunction with YouTube. So if that's the platform that you're on, everyone on YouTube is on Instagram. They work so well together because they both prioritize video content and they both are, it's just the standard. Pretty much everyone in the YouTube community feels like they're all really well connected into the Instagram community. Because that's the standard, it's a lot more likely that you're going to see growth there, right? Whereas with Twitch, people on Twitch are way more connected to Twitter because we're able to share ideas and opinions and talk more, as opposed to it being the visual side of the content. While Twitch is a video platform, I think there is a lot more artistic and just creativity in general that goes into YouTube, right? Like production there is huge. Production on Twitch, your stream can honestly look kind of garbage and still do really well because you're a great entertainer, because your personality is so good, because you've already got a community that's behind you. So for that reason, our community is pretty involved in the Twitter space. I like to think of Twitter as an additional content delivery system that is there to showcase all of the other pieces that you're creating on these other platforms, but it also needs its own attention. So all these platforms need a little bit of their own attention, but they should all be promoting each other. There are 3 tweets that I think typically tend to perform pretty well regardless of the account. So I'll go over those 3 types of tweets, and then I'll tell you like some additional things you could do to actually get those tweets in front of people. So one of those things is questions. Just asking a question, not even giving your own opinion on it, not prefacing it with anything, but instead saying, how do you feel about sub-only streams? ? It's literally like 6 words. You can get a lot of engagement on that versus, wow, this is a really weird, this is a really interesting new feature from Twitch. I'm not really sure how I feel about it yet, blah, 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 blah. Because we have to go back to this idea that people on social media are lazy. The more text that something contains, the less likely it is that they're going to see it and like immediately respond to it, especially if it's conversation based. So the reason that you want to ask these questions is to generate conversation, right? We want comments specifically when we're asking questions, and we need to be in the comments responding to literally every single person, especially if your account is small. The next piece would be, I call them retweetables. So these are the things that are aimed specifically at your target audience. Everyone needs a target audience. Like mine is obviously streamers. Everyone's is going to be different. Yours might be a specific game community, it might be entrepreneurs, it might be women, it might be people who love plants, people in the LGBTQ, whatever. But you need to craft a tweet speaking on behalf of a large group of people towards another large group of people. And what you're trying to do here is be a thought leader. So this isn't just like regurgitate all of the positivity that you see going around, like regurgitate all the things that you've seen other people say. It's literally have a fresh perspective and share a fresh idea. Learn how to format that tweet so it's visually interesting, and then try to end it on like a really good punchy note. So all of mine usually start with like 1 or 2 sentences. The middle will be another thought to kind of reinforce those first 1 or 2 sentences. And then the last one is something really punchy that should drive it home emotionally for people. Now, the goal is to get retweeted and get your channel or your content essentially shared with not just the people that are retweeting it, but all of their followers as well. The next is likes. So that's our third engagement metric on Twitter. With that one, it's really easy to get whenever you honestly just like tweet about your life, tweet about things that you're interested in. Try to keep asking questions to let people know what you're into, and the things that, even down to like the things that you're struggling with. You don't want to get too negative, because negativity is not something that typically tends to perform well over there. But I always refer to likes as like they're the thing that people use to say, hey, I saw this, but I didn't really resonate with it enough to feel like it warranted a retweet or a comment. So those are the things that like kind of miss the mark, which usually these are things like your personal life or anything like that. That's not to say that you shouldn't share about your personal life. Don't go too hard into just comments and retweets and worrying about both of those metrics, because it's really important for you to humanize yourself as well. You don't want people to just put you on a pedestal and feel like you're so far away because you're just getting retweeted and comments all the time. You don't want to look like you're shilling for engagement. Essentially, it's really important to have those tweets from time to time that are just there to show off who you are. Okay. So all of these engagement metrics, retweets, comments, likes, those are essentially, I mean, that's a tweet for each type, right? But there are also other things that you can do to get tweets in front of more people, just because of what the algorithm does to serve your content up to more people. So one of those things is just interacting with other people. Literally commenting on other tweets is going to get your tweets in front of others. Of course, tagging people in the things that you're posting about is really good. I don't personally recommend hashtags. I feel like on Twitter, they're pretty ugly. On Insta, it's a different situation. But on Twitter, I find that the people that hashtag a ton are generally people that don't know how to get engagement the other ways. So it can kind of make you look like you don't know what you're doing. It's way easier to just go into other people's tweets, comment on threads, get involved in conversations. I mean, it's social media for a reason. It's just be social, right? Just talk to other people. Whenever you comment on someone's tweets, the algorithm will actually put your tweets in front of them, regardless of whether or not they interact with what you've said to them. So if I know, it's wild, right? So you can kind of game the system when you know this. So if you're tweeting about video game journalism, obviously you want to interact with all the journalists and all the people that are into video game journalism, because at that point, then you know that your content is way more likely to be something that they're interested in. And that's way more likely that you're going to get more friendships, more relationships. Like you're going to get to know more people in your industry, and you're going to get the engagement that you're looking for in your posts. And then with, God, I know this is like very long-winded, but
no, keep it going. Keep it going.
Good. Okay, cool. Then with Insta, I feel like the biggest thing that people are using it for now is for authenticity. So we have been watching YouTube for years and seeing people with these like ridiculous productions that it's almost like Hollywood level now, right? Like super, what is it? What's her name? Superwoman? I'm like blanking super hard right now. Anyways, she's like got a new night show, which is wild. And all of these YouTubers are massive celebrities now. For the longest time, we put YouTubers on this pedestal of they're celebrities that are so far away from us. But what's actually become more and more important as time has gone on is that people are hungry for authenticity. Like we crave seeing people mess up. We crave seeing people fail. We crave seeing people that are struggling emotionally and are just not in a healthy, not necessarily healthy headspace. We don't want people to be unhealthy, but we like seeing the failures just as much as we like seeing the successes. And I think depending on your brand, you want to consider, should I be a little bit more authentic? Should I share a little bit more about my life? This is becoming really powerful. And this is why like Instagram stories is performing so much better than Instagram posts, aside from like Instagram completely changing up their algorithm. But stories are great. You can use them as kind of a running vlog. You post everything that you're doing. If you're working on emails and you're a content creator, like show people behind the scenes of what your life is actually like. Not every picture that you post has to be absolutely beautiful. Not everything has to be edited. Not everything has to be just perfect. I think there's this huge opportunity for people to come in and to realize that whenever you are a creator that's just posting solely beautiful pictures, you've got this beautiful body, you're like vacationing in the Bahamas every weekend and you're making all this money and you're showing off your Maserati or whatever, like you are distancing yourself from your audience. There are people that love you, that you've impacted, but they're really struggling, right? Whether that's emotionally or they've got something going on in their life. And whenever you are only showing the perfect side of what you experience, what you're doing is you're hurting yourself and you're hurting them too, because they feel weirder for having struggles and you're not being open and honest about the things that you struggle with, because everyone struggles, all of us. I don't care if you put out the most perfect image, that person is going through some shit, y'all. They're going through the garbage too. We all do. And I think there's a lot of opportunity, especially on Insta, to showcase that and to just tell real stories and inspire people and innovate over there. Yeah, take the pretty pictures, but take the ugly ones too.
Oh, awesome.
That was a lot. Woo!
No, that was a gem right there. That was something I needed to hear too, because like when it comes to social media, like the Twitter I somewhat get, but Instagram, like it wasn't until like Gothix was telling me, she's like, yeah, don't use hashtags on your initial post, put it on like
put
the
it in the
comment
comment,
section.
yeah.
I was like, really? And then I started doing that and I'm like, damn, my engagement's going up.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
It's wild because they changed that. Like you used to not get any engagement if you posted it in the comment section. So we had to post it in the caption. And now it's opposite. Like you have to post it in the comment section, not in the caption. It's so oh God. I got so mad at Instagram because I was doing so good like 2 years ago. And then they changed everything. And now like the timeline isn't even it like the timeline's all over the place. I'm getting posts in my feed from like 2 or 3 days ago.
Yeah.
Just stuff's all over the place with that. And I get very angry and upset about it. But Insta is it's a fun place to be, but it's also super annoying. Feel you.
Very, very true.
Mm-hmm.
Are we, how much time do you got left? I want to be respectful.
Like 20 minutes.
Okay, cool. Okay, so this is a question I want to ask you. I've got a few questions from the community out here that are big fans of yours.
Yay.
But I have this question because this is something that I'm personally dealing with now, and I've put out a couple rants on Facebook and Twitter, and I'm just like trying not to lose my mind. But I how do you deal with people that are envious of your success? And you know, they make comments such as like, "Oh, you're so lucky," or "I'm so jealous," or "Oh, I hate you." Like, I know it shouldn't bother me, but like I get a lot of it from people out here in Hawaii, and it just feels like it comes from a sense of entitlement. I got people sticking their hands out. I had one guy who was like, "Oh, you know, since you're doing so well on YouTube and you're working with companies and they're sending you stuff, you know what? You owed me $10 12 years ago, so now you need to give me $2,000." I'm not even bullshitting you.
What? No way.
He's
You're
like, "You owe me
kidding.
$2,000, computer setup and all that, and help me stream and let me use your stuff." I'm not even kidding. Not even kidding. She knows I'm not kidding, right?
What?
Not kidding.
With should I say it? No, I need to bleep out his name.
Yeah, don't.
I'll bleep it out.
Oh, he went there, y'all. He went there. Woo! We done did it now. God. Okay, so I have a question for you then.
Go for it.
What do you feel like would happen if you were to start answering all of these people that are kind of asking for handouts and a leg up and asking for their $10 back? What do you feel like would happen if you fulfilled all of these questions?
I feel like it would just be like quicksand. Like you're just gonna keep sinking further and further and further. They're gonna keep wanting more and more and more. And it's like there are some people that I actually have helped. I have helped people who are trying to get on to YouTube, like go from like 10 subs to 1,000 and, you know, get relationships with companies. Because one of the things I do, I'm not really, I don't think I'm a big YouTuber, even though my tagline promotional is Hawaii's favorite YouTuber. Like my whole thing is I like to network behind the scenes. I like to know who are the people that make the moves and who do I need to know. And so that's, you know, on top of my marketing background, I utilize that and it gets me to where I want to go. That's hence how I got to E3, my first E3 this year for free with an industry badge. But a lot of people here, and, you know, this is not, okay, fuck it. This is throwing shade at people in Hawaii. I can't ask it. So the most, a lot of people out here in Hawaii, the furthest that they will push for is like smoking weed or going out drinking, getting fucked up. And that's the pinnacle of what they're shooting for a lot of people.
Wow.
And I'm just not, for me, I'm like, I in my 20s, I had my party life. I did that. I was a club promoter. I was an MC for a radio station. I did all the stuff. You know, I had my fun. But then I had hit a point where I'm like, I want to do more. I'm tired of sitting here saying, I wish I could do this. I wish I could do that. I'm jealous of that. Why can't I get off my ass and do it myself? Why? What do I need to do? I have Google. I have access to everything I need right here on my phone. And I literally just figured out, what do I need to do? Okay, that didn't work. Why didn't that work? How do I re-strategize? And I just move forward. And I've helped a lot of people come up, and then when I stop because I'm like, okay, you know, I think you can do it on your own now, then they get mad, like, no, you're you know, like this one YouTuber here, another YouTuber fucked me over. So we're hearing so much.
I'm seeing it. I'm seeing a theme here with you. What's up? Let me write all that laundry.
I was like, I helped this one YouTuber, and I shouldn't say his name. I'm not gonna say his name, but this game collector. Damn, I said his YouTube name. Anyway, so I helped him.
Oh my God.
I helped this dude grow. And, you know, he had no gaming contacts, no PR contacts, no real audience. I helped him. You know, I connected him with bigger content creators, connected him with companies on a personal level, and helped him out with codes. And then when I stopped helping him, then he's like, oh, well, I'm not growing anymore. I'm like, dude, you went from 10 subs to 1,000. That's not a minor thing.
Yeah.
And he's like, well, it's not good enough. Like I'm not getting views. I'm like, dude, you got 1,000 subs and you're averaging 800 to 1,000 views a video for where you are. That's pretty good. And he's like, yeah, but look at you grew. Like he got mad because I went from where I was to over 10,000, and he's like, "Oh, well, you bought subs, you did this, you did that. You know, your content's not that good." And I get that from a lot of people, like, "Oh, your content's not that good. I don't understand how you can grow." I mean, hell, I've even got one jackass I interviewed recently on the podcast, and I didn't get to publish that podcast. Yes, I'm airing dirty laundry, but it's a guy out here I went to his business, I'd interviewed him. And then while I'm interviewing him, he's telling me how my quality sucks, how my video reviews suck, how my all this other stuff, and I should pay him money.
What?
Team to do video editing because they know what they're doing. And they've had this, apparently there's this model out here called Suki Yuki. I have no idea who she is. And apparently nobody else I know knows who she is, but she's a big model with over 30,000 followers on Instagram and averages about 500 likes a post. Just saying. So
I have like half of what she does and have more likes per post. That's not there's no wrong there. Those numbers are, anyways, I digress.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, I get that so much from people out here, and it's just like, and Lehua can tell you, like, I guess it comes off like some people think that I'm being an asshole because I'm at a point now where I won't help people, or if I do, I have to watch and see how badly do you want this? Are you willing to put forth the work? And if you put forth the work, I'll help you. I'll help you get a connection. I'll see, like, I'll look at your content and say, okay, you could improve here, you can improve there. But like, a lot of people come at me all the time and they're like, give me money, or give me this for, oh, you got this, so give me that for free since you don't need it. You got X amount of headphones, X amount of computers, you got X amount of whatever. And it's just a constant barrage of things over and over and over, to the point where I'm at a point where when people come to me, the first thing I'm thinking is, what the hell do you want? What do you want? And I put up a post on Facebook, and I just let it out. I said, look, I'm tired of people telling me that they're jealous of me. I'm so lucky. I'm like, I feel like it's an insult coming from people here because you're not willing to put forth the work to get the results. Like, everything you see that I have, I worked for it. I worked really hard. I sleep probably 2 to 3 hours a day. I'm constantly sending out emails. I'm constantly on conference calls. I'm constantly tweeting. I'm trying to get engagement with different people and make relationships. You guys don't see that. You're not willing to do that. And to, belittle what I do and then say that you want what I have, you can have what I have and greater. Like, I think what I'm doing, okay, cool. Maybe it's cool for Hawaii, but there are people that are doing greater things. And I think we should always push ourselves to be better.
Yeah.
But you got people that they want a handout. And there's a cultural aspect to that out here. And I can talk shit about people in Hawaii. I'm Hawaiian. I can talk shit about my own people. A lot of us are fucking lazy. I'm just saying.
Mm-hmm.
But it's just one of those things. And see, I know she's quiet over there. She's like, I'm not getting involved. But it's a constant thing. It's a daily thing, and it's like, it's funny to me. I get respect from people that I've never met. Respect from you, from Gothic's Model, Harris Heller. People I've met once or talked to once, and there's a mutual respect between us. But like, people here, they're like, you're interviewing who? You're doing what? I don't know who that is. Why don't you talk to me and you get somebody who's recognizable?
Okay.
Yeah. So.
Wow.
That's my little rant.
You surround yourself with crap people, it sounds like except for Harris and Gothics. They're both amazing. But sounds like there's, and I'm sure you would help people if they were more understanding of your time, and if they were more respectful, and if they weren't just taking and taking and taking, right? Like, we all, a rising tide raises all the ships, right? Like, you're not preventing people from getting help because you feel like they're gonna impede on your territory and they're going to take your numbers away, right? Like, they're not going to take your community. There's more than enough space for all of us. But I think it's draining whenever you try so hard to help other people and you've been burned as many times as you have. And let me tell you right now, there are some messages that I start to read the first like 3 or 4 words and I'm like, oh, it's one of these again. Like, I don't even read them anymore. I don't even read them because one message is, hey, I like your YouTube videos. I was just wondering, I know you're busy, but if you have some free time, will you look at my channel and tell me maybe what I'm doing wrong?
Mm-hmm.
So to me, that reads as, hi, I've seen that you are a YouTuber. I haven't watched any of your videos and I haven't used your strategies and I have no examples to show how you've helped me, but will you give me an hour of your time for free, even though you charge for your time for other people, and your time could be better spent. Like, my time is so valuable and so is yours, especially when you're someone who is so busy as both of us are. Our time is worth dollars, and even if it's not specifically money, it's time is finite. It's our only resource we don't get more of. We can't buy more of it. Once it's up, that's it. Once I've spent this hour with you, I've spent it, it's done. And if someone is coming to me that clearly hasn't watched any of my videos, that hasn't like found a way to give me a something, whatever it is, in exchange for my time, why am I going to prioritize that one single individual whenever I could spend that 1 hour I'd spend with them doing something for free, having my energy drained from me, and instead I could be creating a YouTube video that's going to reach thousands of people, or I could be streaming, which is going to reach hundreds, or I could be making a podcast, which is going to reach thousands. Like, it's not, what am I supposed to say as a creator at that point? I have to make the decision that's best for me and the needs of the many, right? Like, as much as I wish that I could help every single person that's messaging me that question, I can't. If I did, I wouldn't have time for the things that actually allow me to eat.
Yeah.
Like, I would die poor having never experienced a life filled with the things that I want to experience in life. I would die being a person who was homeless and couldn't eat, was hopefully, you know what? I would be exchanging those little like channel reviews for a sandwich. And that's just not something I'm interested in doing. So I get those messages a lot for sure. I also get the people that are like, hey, your stuff has helped me so much. I just want to reach out and say thank you. And I get so many of those. Like, I can't really respond to a lot of those anymore, but I'm so grateful for them. And I'm so, that's awesome. I'm sure you get a lot of those too. And then it's the people that you do that free help for. Whenever they start taking, you get to a point where you have to call it off because you're prioritizing the work that's not really, I hate this idea that like, I don't want to perpetuate this image that I will only do things for people if I receive something in return. I do tons of free work all the time. Like, I help people out all the time. My stream team is essentially me giving away all my products, coaching, everything for free to people that I really but I think there's also something to be said of taking responsibility for the beliefs that we publicly say. So if you're a person who is thanking your community or thanking your audience for spending their valuable time with you, that it's hypocritical of you to not consider that your time is valuable as well, and to live by being an example and showing people how valuable that time really is. So when people come to you and ask for your time for free, a ton of your time when you could be doing something that's helping thousands of people, asking for some kind of exchange for that or some kind of way of expressing, hey, my time is valuable as well, I think is really important. And you don't have to do that in every single case, right? Like, there are going to be people that you help for free, always. But I think that this idea that I just have to help everyone from like the goodness of my heart, and I have to respond to every single DM and every single message and help all of these emotional vampires that are really just taking all my energy from me is unrealistic. When you're a smaller creator, totally you can do that. When you get larger and you get really busy, you can't really do that anymore. And it's not because you don't want to, it's because you're exhausted from all the other work that you're doing. Like, I'm tired, y'all. Please. I wish I could look at all your channels. I love you and I want to support you, but damn, sometimes, okay?
Oh, well, I know we're pressed for time, and I have one. Actually, is two quick questions. One I want to ask you is so with Discord, how Discord and Patreon, I guess you could say, how vital are they, in your opinion?
I don't think Discord's vital in the very beginning, but I think after you start to establish a base community of, maybe 10 consistent viewers, 15 consistent viewers or so, everyone's got their own Discords, and it's just chaos trying to keep up with everything.
Yes.
So I think unless you can really offer something that's different, it's great to have them, but just make sure that there's value in them. Otherwise, people are going to maybe join it, but then never talk, never say anything, and never really get invested in your space. Yeah, I'm so bad at Discord. Like, even my own, it's so hard for me to just be super active because I'm so busy with everything else. And then Patreon, I don't think that it's vital at all by any means. I think it depends on the business model that you've created for yourself or that you want to create for yourself. Patreon's not going to work for everyone. There have been plenty of people, like one of my coaching clients, one of the first things we did was we tried to set up a Patreon for him, and he never even got a single person to sign up. And so immediately we were like, okay, this isn't the right direction. Let's try something else. But it works for different people. Mine is awesome and like pops off all the time. That's because I went beyond just like giving people, I don't know, like postcards or perler art or whatever. I don't even know what everyone else's private Snapchat. I don't know, what do people do anymore? So doing the coaching and the one-on-one stuff over there has definitely made that worth it for me. But if I didn't have a community over there, I didn't have people consistently signing up, then I wouldn't do it either. I don't think that Patreon takes a lot of work, and I don't think a lot of people realize exactly how much work it takes. It's adding on another platform on top of everything that you're already doing. If that's Twitter, Instagram, Twitch, or YouTube, or podcasting, whatever. If you've got that base community, it's great. If you've got a medium-sized community, it's great. If you've got a large community, it's great. Until then, I would say just focus on growing the community and don't open up a Patreon until you know it's going to pop off.
Okay.
Because it's a lot of work. Hot damn.
It's tiring.
Yeah. Right. Ugh.
Sometimes I'm like, can I get an assistant to help me with all this? Because
I
it's
know.
too much.
I know. I'm about to promote my video editor actually, and like double her pay, because I'm not trying to do all this emailing and all this Patreon stuff. And I'm tired.
Right?
It's not like I'm just exhausted. I'm like 29 years old over here. Like I sleep 12 hours a night.
Right.
Like I need to sometimes.
So one of my last questions is, like, when it comes to like a streamer, say like the streamer hits all the accolades of a great stream, yet they're still having the challenge of getting, followers or subs, in part because maybe they don't have incentives such as badges and emails. Like, how important is that in your opinion?
Emotes and badges and all of that, the visual side of your brand is definitely important. A lot of us tend to think that like a rebrand is us just changing the graphics. Your brand is a combination of a lot of different things that come together to send out a belief system towards the people that believe the same things as you. It's like your origin story, the story I shared earlier about my supporter who stopped supporting me. That's a huge part of my brand. That's why I resonate with a lot of people that I do.
Oh, I think your mic went out.
Oh, we good?
We're good now.
Yep. Sick. All right. Well, yeah, my XLR cable comes unplugged sometimes. I'm not really sure why. Okay, cool. So yeah, it's not just the visual side. It's your origin story, the visual component, of course, but then also it's having haters. It's defining what your beliefs are. It's your creed. So pursue your dreams and learn to stream. And Nike, just do it. Or Semper Fi, the Marines. Like there are so many things that come together to create an actual brand. And I think a lot of us tend to focus so much energy into the visual side of it without really thinking about all of the other components. There's a really good book for this called Primal Branding by Patrick Hanlon. I interviewed Patrick Hanlon for an episode of the Stream Coach podcast. If you want to get if anyone wants to get a lowdown of those 7 things that it takes. And then I've also translated them into being for the streaming community specifically. So that's, I think, my favorite episode ever. It will help you. It blows people's minds, honestly. It makes a lot of light bulbs go off for people. I think the first thing, aside from visuals, that we all need to focus on is our audience.
Yeah.
We need to stop placating people. We need to stop being afraid of sharing our opinions and sharing our beliefs with people because we're afraid of turning people away. You have to choose. You have to turn some people away. You can't make a space for everyone. Your positive space that is there to make everyone feel welcome is not working. It doesn't work because no one resonates with that. But whenever you create a positive space for bisexual women to finally feel heard and to feel like their experiences matter because they're surrounded by a lot of other bisexual women, that's whenever you're going to have a stream that takes off and that resonates emotionally with people, and that the people who are in that audience are going to show up there every single freaking day because they feel like that space speaks to them and it was created strictly for them. So stop creating spaces for everyone and choose a specific audience to serve. Like I chose streamers, like Gothics chose people that are like really loud, boisterous, like very opinionated personalities. Like I'm Really Important chose people who love politics. Like there's so many different examples of this, and these spaces are thriving versus spaces who are like just kind of wishy-washy, don't really mean anything.
Yeah. And when are we gonna see you in Hawaii?
Oh my God, soon, I hope. Next year.
Come out here. Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely. I mean, if you come out here, just let us know if you need a ride or anything. If you need a place to stay, we have a 3-bedroom house.
Yo.
We're right here. We're literally, we live about 2-3 minutes away from Waikiki. Our house is huge. We're right next to everything, literally. We had the guy who voices Ken in Street Fighter and Dante in Devil May Cry, Ruben Langdon. He actually stayed with us. Him and the entire Capcom, well, most of the Capcom team stayed with us for about 2 weeks. And then the voice actors and the actors just kick it with us. So it's like, yeah, if you need a place to stay, we got a house.
Yep, that was awesome. 2 to 3 minutes from Waikiki.
Yes.
Let's go.
Go down this street, turn left, and boom, there you are.
Shut up. I could walk to the beach. You're wild.
Yeah, people, they're like, how are you like 30 and you have a house? I'm like, hey, if you dream enough and you work towards it, you can get it.
Yeah, stop going out all night and drinking, y'all. Hello?
Right. And I lied. Last question. Did you have fun?
Yeah, this was awesome. I'm so glad we got to do this. It's not often that I get to be on podcasts anymore, so getting to be here was freaking great.
Awesome. And if you ever want to come back on the show, I'd love to have you on again. Like, especially I definitely want to dive into podcasting with you, because that's like, it's rare I get to talk to other people that are podcasters. So you are literally a vault of knowledge, and I need to pick your brain. Okay.
Yeah, I would love to. Yeah, I'm definitely down to come back on at some point.
Awesome. Well, I know you got to go. Tell everyone where they can find you, and we can go ahead and just close out.
Yeah, I'm AshniChrist everywhere. That's it. The end. I love y'all. Thank you for having me. You're fucking awesome, Hawaii. I miss you.
Awesome, man. People, you'll be able to catch this episode on youtube.com/Mekel Kasanova, as well as catching it on, and I need to get better at this, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, TuneIn Radio, Spotify, iHeartRadio, coming soon to Pandora, and also coming soon to Sirius XM Radio. I think I hit everything.
So fancy. Look at you on Sirius. Okay.
Podcast One. I'm on Launchpad DM by Podcast One, so that's also there. But yes, people, you can find it, and make sure you go and subscribe to AshniChrist's YouTube channel. Make sure you sub to her Twitch as well. This is a prime directive. I'm telling you guys what you need to do. Go and do that right now. Follow her on social media. Links to everything of hers will be down in the description below, as well as the ebook, the podcast, everything. Go and follow her. Don't do any crazy shit, because I'll come find you and you will catch these hands if you fuck with my homegirl. Just saying.
Oh my God, I love you. This has been freaking dope. Meanwhile, I'm just like dabbing in the background over here.
Just like hitting the dab.
Yeah. Yeah, that's right. Catch those hands.
Right.
Also look at these ones.
Oh my goodness. And with that being said, AshniChrist and I are signing out, people. We will catch you guys in the next one.
Bye.
Hey, did you enjoy this episode of the Kasanova Podcast? Well, I'm sure you did. And since you did, and you're wondering where else you can find it on every podcasting outlet. Yes, that includes Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, TuneIn Radio, iHeartRadio, Spotify, Launchpad DM by Podcast One, and so much more. And the only thing I ask of you is, if you truly enjoyed it, even if you didn't enjoy it, please leave a rating and tell us what you thought of it, what you like, what you didn't like, and everything in between. And also, if you're looking for video formats of this podcast and many more, you'll be able to find them on youtube.com/Mekel Kasanova, as well as on twitch.tv/Mekel Kasanova, and new episodes every single Monday morning, 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. So, with that being said, this is Mekel Kasanova, Hawaii's favorite YouTuber. I am signing out. You guys have a great one.